This video is brought to you by Squarespace. If you need a website or domain, check out squarespace.com. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video. Have you heard people before saying that smaller camera sensors have more noise and larger ones, like full frames, have cleaner images? Have you wondered if this is true, and if so, how does that work? If you do a quick search online, you'll find a plethora of opinions on this topic and little agreement. So I guess I should brace for some action in the comments below as I try to navigate and simplify what is actually a complicated issue. Don't forget to stay for my bonus tip, which will be to help you get the cleanest images in low light out of any camera, regardless of sensor size. My name is Simon d'Entremont, and I'm a professional nature and wildlife photographer living in Eastern Canada. I make weekly videos giving you photo tips or taking you behind the scenes for nature photography. Subscribe if you want to see more. So the question we're answering today is, do larger sensors have less noise and when used in low light, better image quality? To help answer that, a brief introduction to noise for a second. For those who didn't see my previous videos on shooting at higher ISOs and what makes up noise, here's a quick primer, or you can watch it here and come back. Noise is what we call irregularities in light coming from a digital sensor and looks like what we called grain in film. Generally, the lower amount of light you have, the noisier the image because you have a poor signal-to-noise ratio. That is, not enough photons of good light, the signal, to overwhelm the noise from electronic systems and the random nature of light. Remember, photons falling into your camera pixels, called photosites, act like raindrops falling into glasses placed outside in the rain. The glasses won't all capture the same number of raindrops, and these variances show up as noise in your image. This is shot noise. Also, the capture of photons and converting them to digital signals is an imperfect task for electronics and leads to even more variances. This is called read noise. That's enough about noise to go on for now. Now let's discuss sensor sizes. Now I'm not talking about megapixels here, which is how many pixels you can cram into a fixed space. In this video, we're talking about the physical dimensions of the sensors. The smallest commonly used camera sensors for casual photography these days are found in cell phones. The main camera in my iPhone 14 Pro has a sensor size of roughly 10 by 7 millimeters. The next popular size is called 1-inch sensors, which don't measure 1 inch, by the way. That's a hangover term from the days of vacuum tubes and video cameras. They are around 13 by 9 millimeters and are used in bridge cameras like Canon PowerShot, Sony CyberShot, and Nikon Coolpix. Then we have micro four thirds at 17 by 13 millimeters found in Olympus and Panasonic cameras. I also have them in my cooled astrophotography cameras. The next largest size is called crop or APS-C and is around 24 by 16 millimeters. Canons are a wee bit smaller. Then there is full frame at 36 by 24 millimeters. This is almost 4 times the area of a micro four thirds sensor. There's even another monster size sensor called medium format, but I'll stop at full frame for this discussion. Now let's look at what having different size sensor means. When you point a lens at a subject, the image isn't rectangular like your camera sensor. The scene is projected into your camera by the lens, which is a circle. When you place the same lens on 2 cameras, one full frame and one micro four thirds for example, the same image circle is projected into the inside of the camera. The only difference is that the larger sensor captures a larger part of the image circle, a larger field of view. A micro four thirds sensor, for example, captures a smaller section of the image circle. Here's what the 2 images look like. But keep in mind that the smaller image of the smaller sensor will be viewed at the same size. If you look up the fighting on this topic online, one person will say that the larger sensor has captured more light and that's why it has better low light performance. More light equals less noise equals better images. The counter argument from someone else is that there isn't more light captured, as the same settings on the micro four thirds camera captures the same exposure and photo brightness. Well, in this case, the latter statement is true, but the former statement is still right. Here's why. The smaller micro four thirds captured the same exposure, but what that means is that it captured the same intensity of light, not the same total number of photons. This is a good time to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. I used Squarespace to make my very own website, and it was really easy. They have lots of templates to choose from, or you can customize pages with easy drag and drop sections for photos, clickable buttons, text, or links. Recently, I added tours to Botswana to my offerings. It was really easy to add a new page to my website with photos, videos, and just drop in text boxes anywhere I wanted one. With the Squarespace site, you can even get people to subscribe to your newsletter and offer them a free download in return if you wish. A great way to build engagement with your clients. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Simon to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Let's try a virtual experiment, substituting raindrops for photons of light. If you place glasses outside in the rain to collect raindrops to simulate our camera sensors, and place one glass for every millimeter of sensor, the Micro Four Thirds experiment would have 221 glasses, 17 by 13. The full frame experiment would have 864 glasses, 36 by 24. After a rain, the average drops of water per glass would be the same between the two experiments. They caught the same rainfall amount, equivalent to the same intensity of light. But the 864 glasses of the full frame experiment would have caught almost 4 times more water in total, i.e. more light according to our analogy, even if the amount of rainfall equal to the image brightness is the same. More light, less noise. But it's not that simple. At the pixel level, what's going on here? If we take a full frame photo and then take a Micro Four Thirds photo using the same lens and settings, we get a smaller slice of the scene. But if I take a smaller crop of my full frame photo and zoom into it, it's essentially the same photo if the cameras have equivalent technologies like two modern cameras with similar sized pixels, let's say. They have the same noise profile, don't they? They actually mostly do, but, and this is a big but, the wider field of view of the full frame camera minimizes the noise so it's finer and less visible. Take this duck photo of mine shot at ISO 8000. When I zoom into the photo a lot, it looks very noisy. If I zoom into the field of view of a Micro Four Thirds camera, let's say, it looks still noisy, but better, and when I look at it full frame, it almost looks clean. The wider viewpoint minimizes the noise and gives the impression of a cleaner photo, even if at the pixel level, the photo would have had similar noise to a smaller sensor camera. Now I know some people will raise something called equivalency, where you adjust the settings and lenses used to give equivalent field of view, depth of field, and ISO. But in real life, these lead to comparisons with equipment that's not attainable or changing parameters that aren't always changeable in real life. So that's a topic for another video. Some people will also raise the differing sizes of pixels for different cameras. Actually, I made a video about that, which you can see here, and pixel size isn't the largest factor in noise performance compared to sensor size. So now let's put these thought experiments to the test. Let's go to dpreview.com and their studio shot comparison tool, which compares photos at different ISOs from different cameras. With all else being equal, higher ISOs means less light was available. Let's start off with a small 1-inch sensor like a Sony CyberShot RX10 Mark IV. Then for a Micro Four Thirds, the Olympus OM5, which I'll place right here. For a crop sensor camera, I'll add the Nikon Z50. And for a full frame, I'll add the camera I use the most, my Canon R5. I'm also going to click on this button, which makes all the images the same size regardless of pixel size, which is how we look at images in real life. As you can see at ISO 100, with well-lit photos and plenty of light, the images look identical. This is my experience in real-world performance. In the best light, any camera, even your phone, can take nice images. If we go to a scenario with less light, ISO 3200, you'll start seeing a trend. The smallest sensor on the Sony CyberShot isn't doing so well. The Micro Four Thirds in the Olympus is better, the crop sensor in the Nikon is a bit better still, and the full frame is doing the best. At even higher ISOs like 12,800, we can exaggerate this effect. The 1-inch sensor is looking pretty bad. The Micro Four Thirds is better, but pretty challenged. The crop sensor would need lots of noise reduction, and the full frame might be the only one we'd be able to use. Now keep in mind that these are deep crops, which are magnifying the noise here, and also that these aren't judgments on the quality of the different camera brands. The better performance here of different cameras is a result of pure mathematics and the physical limitations of what different sensor sizes can do. I could swap out specific cameras with others with the same sensor size and get the same result. Pixel sizes and sensor technologies used between cameras of the same era are minor in impact compared to these straight physical limitations. So yes, larger sensors do indeed capture more total photons, more light, even if the light intensity is the same as in the image of a smaller sensor, and they give a field of view that flatters the image and minimizes the noise. There is a direct physical relationship between sensor size and noise performance. Now this can be tweaked by comparing sensors of different eras, as sensor technology is improving all the time, and modern ones will do better than ones of 10 years ago, for example. Or improvements in technology like back-illuminated sensors or ones that capture more of the light available called quantum efficiency. But the largest determinant in noise performance is sensor size. If you want better noise performance when comparing cameras of the same era, get a bigger sensor. If you can't do that and are buying used, getting a more modern camera will still help. But are things all dismal if you have a smaller sensor? Should everyone rush out and get a full-frame camera? Not at all. There are professional wildlife photographers out there using high-end micro Four Thirds cameras to a high degree of proficiency. Their small size is a great asset when hiking up a mountain or in getting affordable lenses, and in the right hands produce amazing results. There are genres where shooting in low light is very common, where full-frame cameras are favored, but there are all kinds of reasons, including cost, to not use the largest sensor in every scenario. So let's look at how to use any size sensor and get great results, as I promised you a bonus tip on how to get the best out of what you have. First, in good light, even the smaller sensors perform very well, even phone cameras. If you have a small sensor camera, there's a premium on shooting in good light. Try to bring your subject to some light, like a window if you're shooting indoors or at night. Add some light like an LED panel or flash. Don't shoot on gloomy weather days outside. Be careful of light that's too bright like the midday sun though, as overly bright light can blow out your highlights in smaller sensors, as they also have less dynamic range. Second, if your action isn't moving and light is low, use a tripod and take a longer exposure. That way you're getting more light onto your sensor and getting similar results to shooting in good light. That makes a smaller sensor very competitive to the larger one. Third, get wide aperture lenses for your cameras, which will usually let in more light than the kit lens which came with your camera. A sharp prime lens with a wide aperture like f2.8 or f1.8 will let in tons of light and are usually sharper than a kit lens and will last a long time without depreciating much. And fourth, newer cameras, especially in phones, have sneaky ways of improving image quality by taking several images and stacking them digitally to average out the noise in the images. Tricky, but useful. If you want to learn more about sensor sizes and all the other differences that they have to make sure you get the right one for you, check out my video on that topic, which you can see right here. I hope you can use this information to get the camera that's right for you or get the best images out of the camera you already have to get your own amazing and unique photos. I know you can do it.